Dear students, today we are going to deal with the third part, that's the last part in the explanation of the excerpt Shyness My Shield from Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography My Experiments with Truth. So earlier we had spoken about in part 1 how Gandhi had joined the Vegetarian Society and how the Vegetarian Society was led by Mr. Hills, the proprietor, and even we knew that how Dr. Allinson was being removed from the society because of his promotion of liberal views, as Mr. Hills was largely a Puritan and he could not at all respond to the anti-Puritanic views of Dr. Allinson. So, as a Puritan, Mr. Hills was a strict follower of the Bible, and the people in the society, the members of the society, were all dependent upon either the financial help or either they followed him as disciples, since they were dependent upon Mr. Hills. So, they voted against Dr. Allinson and he was removed from the society. In the second part, we came to know that as Gandhi could not speak which he wanted to speak about Dr. Allinson, and that too in support of Dr. Allinson, he lost it. And after that, even on his departure, he hosted a dinner party at the Holborn restaurant. There also, when in the dinner, there was a custom of giving an elaborate speech, of giving a particular appreciation of the particular dinner and the members present, and even then he could not proceed to give a speech. He started with a ridiculous anecdote of Addison, but however that anecdote failed and he could not go any further, and we know that he could not speak, and it was read by Sergeant Mazmudar, which was appreciated. The way he wrote was appreciated, but however it was not spoken by him. That's what we learned. Now in the third part, we know that Gandhi could speak, could come outside, could come out of his nervousness, out of his shyness, and he says, "It was only in South Africa that I got over shyness, though I never completely overcame it. It was impossible for me to speak impromptu." So, without preparation, without anything, and suddenly if he was told to speak, it was very impossible. It was not at all possible for Gandhi. It was not at all easy for Gandhi to speak out. So, he hesitated. I hesitated whenever I had to face strange audiences and avoided making a speech whenever I could. Even today, he says, I do not think I could or would, even if be inclined to keep a meeting of friends engaged in idle talk. So, he says that he always hesitated not only to face strange audiences, but also he avoided even making speeches whenever he could. Even today, that means even when he was writing his autobiography, at that particular age, after everything was over and he was back in India and he was fighting for freedom, even he says at that time also he could not think, or he says he would even be inclined, he would even be ready to keep a meeting of friends. How? To be engaged in idle talk. Idle talk was not at all acceptable by Gandhiji. So, he says that it is unnecessary to speak on unnecessary topics. So, he says idle talks he never engaged in. Then he says, I must say that beyond occasionally exposing me to laughter, my constitutional shyness has been no disadvantage whatever. So he says that was not a disadvantage at all. People consider it as a disadvantage, but he says his shyness was never a disadvantage for him. In fact, I can see that on the contrary, it has been to my advantage. My hesitancy in speech, which was once an annoyance, is now a pleasure. He says his constitutional shyness, that means the way in which he was born with shyness, the way in which he had an ingrained trait, that means inborn trait. It was imbibed in his particular nature itself, in his personality itself, that he could not at all think of speech and speaking very freely, idly, like all other people. So he says that now his hesitance in speech was a pleasure. It was a happiness, source of happiness for him. Earlier it was an annoyance. It was a source of trouble because he felt that it was highly impossible for him to stand and speak before a number of people, and now he feels that it's a pleasure because his hesitance in speech had in fact become an advantage to him. Its greatest benefit has been that it has taught me the economy of words. So what did he learn from it? The economy of words, like he being brief in whatever he wants to say. I have naturally formed the habit of restraining my thoughts, and I can now give myself the certificate that a thoughtless word hardly ever escapes my tongue or pen. So he says that he now very briefly he speaks out, and even he says that this sort of disadvantage earlier, his hesitancy in speech, his shyness in speech, has in a way restricted his thoughts. It has in a way stopped his thoughts from becoming wavering and going haphazard and being lost in imagination. He says that now he can say surely with guarantee that a thoughtless word, that means a word which is not being thought of earlier by him, is never written by him nor is ever spoken by him. So I have thus been spared many a mishap and waste of time. So he says he was spared of any mishaps, he was spared of any particular trouble, because our tongue or our speech makes us to enter into troubles, because sometimes we speak heavily, sometimes we speak very freely, but sometimes people take advantage of us. So he says it has in fact helped him, it has spared him from all troubles, and it has kept him away from all troubles. So waste of time also was avoided. So he says, I do not recollect ever having had to regret anything in my speech or writing. So he didn't regret, he didn't at all feel unhappy, he didn't at all feel sorry for anything which he had expressed in speech or which he had written in a newspaper, in a column, or in some particular note. He had never at all thought sorry about it, because he has been very brief. He was always thoughtful in whatever he was trying to speak or write. I have thus been spared like this. So he says experience has taught me that silence is a part of spiritual discipline. So he says even silence, he knew that it becomes a part of spiritual discipline. It's a way of life, it's a way of understanding God, it's a way of remaining calm. So that's what he says. And even he says that this became a water of truth. So he always voted for truth, he was always for truth, he was never against truth, he was never supported falsehood. Proneness to exaggerate, to suppress or modify the truth wittingly or unwittingly is a natural weakness of man, and silence is necessary in order to surmount it. A man of a few words will rarely be thoughtless in his speech, he will measure every word. So he says anyone can exaggerate something which he really didn't mean to say, or really what he isn't, and sometimes they may try to suppress or modify the truth. Sometimes it can be knowingly or unknowingly, because he says they are all natural weaknesses of man, and he says that silence is always necessary to surmount it, to go, to step over it, to overcome it. So he says a man of few words will rarely be thoughtless in speech. He will never think without any necessary result and result. He wouldn't act like that. He will measure every word. So we find so many people impatient to talk. He says there is no chairman of a meeting who is not pestered with notes for permission to speak, and whenever the permission is given to the speaker, generally he exceeds the time limit, asks for more time, and keeps on talking without permission. So he even says that there are so many people who find themselves impatient to talk. They want to talk more and more. They want to reveal more and more. They want to say and tell something which they exaggerate. So he says that the speaker always, in this particular manner, he exceeds the time limit which is given. So whether we observe it in our daily conferences or any meeting or something, the speaker says that the meeting will be for 1 hour or half an hour, but usually they go on speaking, and it sometimes goes on for hours and hours together. So that's what Gandhiji points out. They will ask for more time, they will keep on talking even without permission. They want to forcefully put on their ideas, give their opinions, and they will forcefully try to speak and complete whatever they want to say. But he says all this talking can hardly be said to be of any benefit to the world. It's so much a waste of time. So he says all this kind of talking beyond the time limit, talking you can say unnecessarily, is nothing, is of no benefit to the world at all, really. Because if you want to do something great, if you want to do something good, then automatically we will be very brief, very thoughtful in our speech, very thoughtful in our actions, very thoughtful in what we write or what we speak about. So he says it's so much of waste of time which everyone tries to do, which everyone follows. So he particularly points out, not only Indians or anyone, he points out each and everyone that man has a natural weakness to waste time. So he concludes lastly, he says, my shyness has been in reality a shield and a buckler. It has allowed me to grow. So he says his shyness has in reality been a shield which which protects from any attack. So if in the earlier days in history, in earlier age-old times, when people used to use bow and arrows or else swords, then people used to have shields with them. So this kind of plate-like shield would protect them from becoming hurt. So shield and buckler are one and the same. So he, in a way, synonymous words. So he says that they have always protected him. So the shyness is a kind of shield. The shyness is a kind of protector to the particular person. So he says that this shyness acted as a shield, and it has protected the person from wasting any time, from being you can say unnecessarily speaking, exaggerating, speaking falsehood. And he spoke very briefly, very truthfully, and that's what he says has allowed him to grow. Reality is that a person needs truth to grow. So he had grown in life, he had successfully reached his goals. Whatever he wanted to do, he has done it. And he says that this sort of shyness, this particular human quality, always considered a disadvantage by human beings, is really not a disadvantage. It always helps people to understand truth, to understand the good people, to understand the truthful ones. Thank you, dear students, for this class. So we come to the end of this particular chapter. Thank you, students. Take care.